Hello, Calvin. I'm taking a look now at your assignment from week 5. This is the first draft of your part 1 of your project, final project, which you will be doing next week in week 7. So, first of all, I see that you've written yours in MLA, which looks good. You do want to make sure, though, that your formatting is fixed. This should all be double spaced. Everything should be double spaced. Right now it's all single space with too much spacing here. So it should be double spaced from the very first word or very first word here to the heading to the last line of the works cited page. All right, should be all double spaced. You should also have page numbering up here in the header. Okay. Um, Title should not be in bold, but it looks good. Your title looks good. It just should not be in bold. Now, uh, who is the audience for Take a Break? Was Take a Break's audience, so let me see here. Um, I don't have it down here to get to it right away. Um, so Take a Break. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you're writing, because if I remember correctly, Take a Break. The audience for her article, Nicole Pelusi's article, was seniors or caregivers or something like that, or medical staff or whatever it was. You got to make sure that your audience that you're writing to is clearly noted here somewhere, so that so it's clear that you're talking about who your audience is. You can refer to the fact that her audience was such and such, but then you need to switch traffic, switch up the traffic and say, but but the topic for this analysis, or not the topic, the audience for this analysis is such and such. Or you could say it less directly by that way. Let's see what the exemplar shows. So in the exemplar, we have, an exemplar is absolutely vital. See how the exemplar shows you how to do all this stuff, right? It shows you how to write this. So you got to make sure you absolutely have to use the exemplar. If you haven't been using it, you've got to use it now. Okay. So notice here, it tells you what to do. The bold items are telling you what to do, right? They're instructions for you. The not bolded stuff is the actual writing, the actual essay sample. So notice here it says by 2030, and then it tells you that's referring to the historical and helping to provide the historical and cultural context. Then it says the entire knowledge industries might be overtaken by AI workers. That gives you an overview of what the topic is. So notice how it tells you everything it's doing. That's why the exemplar is so vital. You've got to use it. You have to. Okay. And then it goes on to provide some background information. And notice here it says audience and purpose are identified here. Replacing people who work on data analysis, fast food and restaurant fry cooks and cashiers, even wait staff might be replaced by. So notice this person is not using the same. He's the he's making it clear who his audience is. Now, I don't know this article, so I don't know if this article. I've not actually read the article, or at least if I did, I don't remember enough to tell you who the audience was that the article itself was directed to. But he's telling you here who all his audience is. The people who look to this sort of future want to improve their chances of surviving. So basically, he's saying fast food, people in the fast food industry, the restaurant industry, is kind of who he's talking about, right? And that's his audience. So he's delineating who his audience is here. That's what you need to make sure you do, is clarify who your audience is, just like it does. So the exemplar, you just have to use it. You absolutely have to. Okay. If you don't use exemplar, if you don't if you don't use exemplar, it's going to very much adversely affect your grade, much more so in the project than it will maybe even in here. But let's see how you did here. So, explores how slowing down and connecting with others can ease that burden, which explains the stress affects everyone, but older adults are especially vulnerable. Pelusi also shares practical ways to cope. Okay, so um, Yeah, you're probably providing a little bit more information and a little bit more details here than you need to. You don't really need to give examples for all these things. You can simply say, she explains that stress affects everyone, especially older adults, because of their cognitive and coping needs. And that would cover all this, right? You can be very general in the introduction because you're just trying to introduce the topic and get your audience interested. Save the details, save these reasons, these more detailed parts for the body paragraphs. Okay, you want to get right to the thesis statement. Now, where is your thesis? This paper argues. When you say this paper, I'm assuming you're referring to your paper. So this paper argues that Pelosi communicates a core idea effectively, since her clear examples and approachable advice make stress management strategies understandable and useful for seniors and caregivers. See, now that's her audience. Then you have to say somebody different here. You could say somewhere up here, you could say that something like, while Pelosi's article addresses, or while Pelosi addresses seniors and caregivers, you could say something like that. You could say, while Pelosi's article addresses seniors and caregivers, comma, such and such group could also benefit from what she has to say in the article, and take a break, right? And then that's that audience that you allude to there, that new audience would be your audience. Okay. Then you go on to talk about that, how that different audience would benefit from her article. Okay. So that's something that needs clarified there. Your topic is there. Your genre is clarified by the verbs that you use here, like she explains, right? She explores, so that tells me that you probably feel like it's an introduction, or it's an informational paper, so that's okay. Purpose is there in the thesis statement. Your audience, though, is not clear, so that's kind of going to be a little bit of a negative there, because you got to clarify who your audience is. Who are you addressing this article, or your analysis of her article? Who are you addressing your analysis to? Right, so that'll be your first audience. Then, because this is part one, remember the project in week 7 is going to have 2 parts. It's going to have this that you're going to revise and edit really well and make it for a clear audience, and then it's going to be then you're going to have part 2 of that project, which will be a rewrite of this, a revision or edit of this to fit a different second audience of your choice. Right? So her audience was seniors, caregivers, and let's say your audience, you decide to write your audience, make your audience be people in the medical field, medical service workers or something like that, right? And then your third audience would have to be even somebody different. Your third audience might be management of some sort, like maybe management in medical facilities or something like that. So you need to have 2 different audiences for your paper, one for this draft and one for part 2. Hopefully that'll make more sense when you get to week 7 and you create your full project with 2 parts, and you'll have you absolutely have to use the exemplar when you do that, so you can tell what to do. All right. Historical and cultural context. Yeah, I'm not seeing a clear reference to that. Your core idea. See, you don't have your core idea. You need to talk about what is your core idea. Your core idea is going to be your analysis of her article and why her article is either good or not so good for your second audience, for your different audience to apply and use and read, consider. Okay, so you need to make sure that's clarified too. Now, in the body paragraphs is where I expect to find the details and evidence. So let's see. Okay, you just end the whole paragraph with Pelosi's name here, and that doesn't work. You can't just end you have to properly blend your source citations, okay? Again, let's take a look at the exemplar here. Notice when he quotes somebody, when he quotes them, he actually says, there, he introduces them, and so like here, he says, right here, he says the productivity paragraphs offer advice, including discovering one's cognitive style so they can align their work strategies with their cognitive style. And notice that part's in quotes. Getting organized, using productivity apps, and taking ownership of your time. And then he ends it with Res Manuae 3, which is, of course, the citation. So that's something you have to do. You've got to make sure you cite a source right when you refer to it. Not just you can't just stick it on at the end of the introduction, or I mean at the end of the paragraph. Because to me, when I look at this, I believe, for all I know, the entire paragraph comes from Pelusi and not from you. I can't really tell. So you got to make sure you properly integrate your sources. Let's see. Okay, again, you're writing all about what she does, but you're not applying it to your new different audience. Okay. So, and while I'm seeing some details, I'm not really seeing proper, so I'll give you credit because there are some details there, but you're not providing proper citations. So I'll give you the credit for the evidence. You're providing evidence, you're providing source citations here, but you're not really properly integrating them. Okay. All right. So your communication could be a little bit more clear just because you're not clearly identifying who you're writing it to. Without a clear audience and without some of these other things I've indicated, it's affecting your overall clarity. And also, you don't really have things cited correctly, so I'm going to have to take off of that. Now, your works cited page here should be down on its own page. Works cited should not be in bold, and it should not be double spaced. This should be double spaced here. It looks like it's 2.5 or 3 spaces actually. You also want to look at the source and see if there's a URL for it, because the URL would need to go here. But that's about it. So yeah, you need to work on these things, revise and edit this, and be sure to use that exemplar. Let that exemplar guide you, okay? So that will do it for my evaluation here. And as always, if you have questions or need help, just let me know. Oh, and by the way, you delete this S here because you've only got one work there. So it would be work cited. All right, that's it.